This is Big Leagues Country Roads Rankings. Yoo-hoo!
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back. Season number 2 of the Big Leagues Country Roads Rankings, the top 10 small school boys basketball teams in North Central Ohio. I am K-Mac, Big Mac, Kmart, you name it. That's my name, Travis Berardi, alongside OH Report founder, CEO, janitor, anything. But I just call him the boss, Brian Skowronski. Mr. Skowronski, did you have a good New Year?
It was fantastic outside of right at the stroke of midnight. You know, not so good feelings going on for us Buckeyes fans, but we've gotten past that. Otherwise, it's been a great year so far.
I have a video of actually my experience with that we'll show on the podcast on Monday. It was, quite the experience. But the experience that is the Country Roads Rankings, I'm excited. Last year, our champions were Colonel Crawford on the boys' side and Buckeye Central on the girls' side. Both teams. One went to a state Final Four, one went to a regional final. So I think, the rankings played themselves out. But without further ado, let's just get right in to these boys' rankings. And we will start at number 10, the Willard Flashes. Yes, they're 6-6. But, you guys ripped on me last year, and I understand why. They have a tough schedule, especially conference and non-conference. So 6 tough losses, but they're really good teams. But they've also had 6 good wins. So that is why they are my number 10 team. Now at number 9, a team that kind of makes my head, I scratch my head a little bit. An up-and-down squad, the Fredericktown Freddies. They beat the likes of, Northmore, teams like that, but then they fall to Clear Fork and a couple other teams. It's just back and forth. But let's take a closer look at them. Cade Carpenter, you see him on the football field, the basketball field. Great baseball player. He's one of the main keys to that team. Yeah,
he's a monster, man. He's just such a dynamic athlete. You mentioned that he's a 3-sport star, and in the basketball hardwood game, he really fills it up for Fredericktown in all the statistical categories.
Yeah, so they're at number 9. They're top of the K-Mac right now. They got a big old one, Freddyburg, coming up on Friday, live and free on the OH Report. We'll see who's number 1 in the conference. Them and Centerburg both tied atop that right now. At number 8, Winford, the Royals.
Welcome back.
At 6-3. There's going to be a lot of Northern 10 teams on here because it's a lot of good basketball being played in the Northern 10 Conference. You have the likes, Winford, Seneca East, Mohawk, Colonel Crawford, and you'll see some of these teams 2 or 3 losses, but it's to each other. So it's a really good conference, and you're going to see a lot of teams.
Yeah, what a fun league.
There.
I'm actually, at least for us in the media, I'm kind of happy that Colonel Crawford's not just running away with the race right away here. There's a little bit left to the imagination, and with so many good teams in there, the final week of the season, I can already prognosticate that it's going to be a really fun league to keep a couple eyes on.
And I almost forgot, there's a couple teams on the outside looking in, and they're both from the K-Mac. One of them, maybe a bit controversial, but Centerburg. I have them right outside.
Oh, not in the top 10.
Not in the top 10. No, them and Northmore. Northmore could have put themselves into the top 10 by knocking off Colonel Crawford, just a second court. Braxton Baker, such a good player. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but the Golden Knights at 6-5 right now. They're just on the outside looking in. But Centerburg, they're like 10B. Willard's just got such a good schedule that I have them. But the winner of that Fredericktown Centerburg game will be in the top 10 next week. But let's get back to the top 10. Number 7, the Mansfield Christian Flames, 8-1. Amar Davis, congratulations on the 1,000-point. He is a stud football for Mansfield Senior, Mansfield Christian basketball. I have them at 8-1 all the way at number 7. They haven't played the toughest of schedules yet. Conference schedule is kind of light so far. Their one loss is to an undefeated Crestview squad. They're good. They have a chance to move up in the conference rankings. They play Lucas twice, a couple other good teams, but right now they are in my top 10. They're at number 7, maybe a bit underrated right now, but we'll just let the games play out.
Properly rated because of the schedule.
Exactly.
That's a great point. You look at who they played, and no disrespect to the Mid-Buckeye Conference, but it's just not exactly loaded outside of Lucas this season and, of course, Mansfield Christian. So I think right where they're at, they have a chance to prove themselves when they start playing some of the better teams on the rest of their calendar.
And one of those teams they will be playing is the Lucas Cubs, right ahead of them at number 6. They are 7-2. A tough loss to Fredericktown. That's another reason why I have them in the top 10, because they have a couple big wins like that to Lucas. But this is a Cubs squad that, they have high hopes this year. A couple injuries early on, but once they get healthy, I think they have a chance at fighting for that Division IV district along with Colonel Crawford and a couple other teams.
Yeah, I think they got 7 kids that can really play. The Thomas brothers, I mean, they bang the drum really well. They're the 2 guys that initiate pretty much everything for them. But outside of those 2, again, I think there's a 5-pack of Lucas players that have come through that Taylor Eisman system. They understand big games and winning culture, and that's what they got going on out there.
And defense. That Lucas defense is just always suffocating, and they will, they'll keep those numbers down for the other squad. At number 5, there's the Colonel Crawford Eagles. Yeah, they're at number 5. Why are they at number 5? Well, a tough loss to Clyde. A no-win Clyde squad. Just, one of those tough nights for them. But Crawford, they're still at number 5. They have some big wins as well. They knocked off Mohawk, who was unbeaten at the time. They knocked off, like I said, Northmore, a good squad without Max Lauer now probably for the rest of the season as well. But still a good win against them. So Crawford sitting at number 5, but they have such a good schedule that they can move their way back up. They play Lucas as well coming up. And, they had a tough loss to Crestview, who is still undefeated. So those losses aren't too bad, but that Clyde one is just a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 games the Eagles ended up dropping. I bet that hadn't happened for David Sheldon in many, many years.
But they're going to right the ship with one Braxton Baker and company.
They're already on the way
He's just such a good player, and they always have great point guards at Colonel Crawford. I mean, it's just a list. It's one after another. It's kind of like the Steelers, always with running backs. They just keep producing and producing.
Anyway, keep it to the country roads.
Here we go, Steelers. Number 4, Seneca East. The Tigers at 7-3. Another one of those teams that are right around there. They have a couple dynamic shooters, 2 brothers that are really good shooters there at Seneca East. But again, fighting for that Northern 10 championship, and I have them right there at number 4. At number 3, Mohawk.
Okay.
The Warriors 8-2. They've got some big wins on their schedule, and rinse and repeat right here. Northern 10. Blah, blah, blah. Keep winning. You're going to stay up there. At number 2, there are the Crestview Cougars. 9-0. I will explain why they're number 2 and not number 1, but this one right here against Colonel Crawford was a big one on their list. But the Firelands is down this year. So far, it's down this year. They've been able to go through. They've won the games that they've needed, but they played maybe 1 or 2 games. They've given Mansfield Christian its lone loss, and then they beat Colonel Crawford, a real good Colonel Crawford squad. But I think that's it so far. They do have the chance to build that resume. They play Lucas later on this season and a couple other squads, so they have a chance. But at number 1, Cary, baby. It's looking like the football rankings right now. Both teams undefeated, but once again, Cary's undefeated in Northern 10 play. They're undefeated in a non-conference right now, and that's just giving them the upper hand a little bit on the Cougars.
Different season, different sport, same old rankings up at the top. These 2 programs, they've just got great athletes right now. They're versatile threats, not only on the football gridiron, of course, but now we're seeing on the hardwood. And they've had to overcome some injuries, too. I know Kemmerly has not been able to play this whole season, but Coach's kid, he's really stepped up his game. I really like the pace and control that he's able to play with. And they've got some knockdown shooters. I think this is a sneaky, really good team that, well, really under the radar. They're at
not
number
sneaky
1
anymore,
here. Not anymore. But I don't think that they had these type of expectations at the beginning of the year. But once they started playing the games and they were like, man, maybe we are pretty good. I feel like they've put themselves in a new category. They're among the upper echelon in the area, and I think it's going to continue. Huge one, of course, coming up on Saturday. They're going to Mohawk.
Well, also, I think the win that really got them believing was that win at Colonel Crawford. A game that you did a highlight for. You can watch anytime on our Facebook and YouTube channels, but I think that one really got them going, got that momentum moving, and they're undefeated, and that's one of those sneaky teams that we'll be rooting for the rest of the way. But I'm going to let you one more chance of breaking this down. I know Centerburg, I'm thinking about it more now. Maybe they should have been in my top 10, but this is only week 1, so what do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think Willard's got to be on your list just because of the schedule that they play. I mean, it's so grueling up there in the Sandusky Bay Conference. There's a lot of good teams. And then outside of the conference, I mean, it's really stacked and loaded. You look at the complement of teams that they're playing there. Cary, they're so good defensively. I think they've only given up 50 points once all season.
That's
so
crazy.
They're another one of those teams like a Lucas and some of these others on the list here, that's how they make their hay. So I don't really have any qualms. I do think that Centerburg probably should have been somewhere in the top 10, maybe leapfrog Fredericktown, but they're going to play that out on the court coming up this weekend. So I give you at least 4 gold stars out of 5.
Maybe I should put number 9. We'll do this. Number 9, Fredericktown / Centerburg. The winner gets that spot.
That works for me.
And if a couple other teams lose, then they'll move up a little bit. Right now, Fredericktown / Centerburg is at number 9. But it was kind of tough putting these rankings together just because of, it's just the Christmas season. You got games you might not lose later in the season because you're playing back to back to back, but because, the holidays get in the way, it's just tough. You might see a team like Willard at 6-6 right now, but once they get playing consistently and get hot, that might be a team that makes a run like most of the teams on here. But what have you say about these rankings? Put them in the comments section. Let us know. And after this is the lone time I think Mr. Skowronski is going to be on here, but I have to have him on here for at least the opening episode because I'm going to be breaking these down with Joe Baylog during the Joe Show on Wednesday nights. So make sure to tune into that. This will be a separate segment itself, so you can still chime in on the comments section, but I'm going to get Joe's take as well. But that'll do it for the first edition, Season 2 of the Country Roads Boys Basketball Rankings. I am K-Mac Travis Berardi. That is the boss, Brian Skowronski, and we will see you on a live stream near you.